what's the Fever ceiling with Clark and Aaliyah Boston?
The Indiana Fever ceiling, they'll make the playoffs.
Okay.
I believe they can make the playoffs, and that'll be as far as it gets for this team. This is a team that won 13 games last season. They're going to have to figure it out. Anything past making the playoffs would be an incredible success, but to me, they can get to the playoffs. I don't know if they would win that first series, but they can get there.
Well, let me ask you this question, Andraya. Okay, so you said they're going to make the playoffs, but that's about it. Who's standing in their way? Like when you think about Aaliyah Boston, when you think about obviously Caitlin Clark, and you talk about the talent that they have available to them. And by the way, major props to Indiana Fever. They're very, very lucky. Back-to-back years they get the top play. I mean, damn, you got to say what it is. But my question is, who are the teams that's going to be directly standing in their path in your estimation? We're not talking about the Las Vegas Aces. We know that's another level. Give me the other teams.
Yeah, I was going to say we have to bring up the Aces because the gap between the Aces and everybody else is probably bigger than the gap between everybody else. That's just how good the Aces are. Right. When you think about how Seattle just reloaded, they have Jewel Lloyd, they have Skylar Diggins-Smith, and they have Nneka Ogwumike on that team. They got immediately better. You have Phoenix with Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner. They add Natasha Cloud to that roster. These moves that these other teams have made outside of the New York Liberty, outside of the Aces, you have New York, you have the Dallas Wings with Arike Ogunbowale. Everyone knows the type of bucket that she is. That team has size throughout the roster. Ryan Howard in Atlanta, you all know Ryan Howard, a bucket. Yep. They just added Tina Charles, a veteran in the league, to that roster. And the teams have loaded up. So this is going to be a very young Indiana team with a ton of talent. Adding Caitlin into the mix, they can make the playoffs, but experience comes into play. In the W, they don't do East and West. Everybody plays everybody. You get the best 8 teams. So there are going to be other teams that have experience, have loaded rosters that'll be tough for Indiana to go against, but I still think Indiana can make the playoffs.
You went a little farther than I did. I was hoping they can make 500. Will 500 get them into the playoffs?
500 would get them into the playoffs. I want to say the 5 seed just last season, I want to say Atlanta Dream, the Dallas Wings, they were 4-5 or they were 5-6, and they weren't 500. They were like 19-21. So 500 would get them in the playoffs.
I definitely think they can I definitely think they can get to be 500. That's a nice team they have. Caitlin Clark can score the basketball. Now, whether or not she'll be the scorer that she was in college, we don't think that, but she can facilitate. But she'll make it a lot easier for everybody else to get baskets, and that's what I wanted to add that also. Also, one thing. Shout out to my girl, Jewel Lloyd, who was on the championship winning team of the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game. You know, Jewel Lloyd, she was doing that thing to you, Stephen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she was doing that thing.
Shannon, did you win that game? I can't remember.
I won. I did a little something to Stephen. They did it real bad, Andrea. Did it real bad, real bad.
I go for you, Stephen A.
Ringers, Andrea. Ringers, Andrea, had Micah Parsons and Kuka Nakua. They were throwing around women. And Micah Parsons came up to me and said, they out there. They playing what you want me to do. I mean, it was really, I mean, they were getting physical and throwing them around like this. I was like, this is ridiculous.
But last night on my podcast, Nightcap with Ocho and I mispronounced Rickea Jackson. I said Ricky. So I want to apologize to her personally. Rickea Jackson, congratulations to you being selected for number 4 overall to the LA Sparks. So congratulations to you and your family. So I apologize for the mispronunciation of your name, Miss Rickea Jackson.
There we go. Obviously,
Shannon apologizes. Breaking news.
Everybody's just holding themselves accountable. I love this. There's so much growth on this program.
It's growth.
Right?
It's all about growth.
That's it. It's all about growth. That's it.
That's right.
We're all growing. We're living and learning. Obviously, this is a star-studded draft, right? We're so excited. I couldn't wait to watch it. But I do want to focus in on Caitlin just one more time because how much she changed, I think, the college game. How much pressure is on her now just to carry this into the W?
There's no pressure on Caitlin Clark because what she did in college has already changed the WNBA in terms of ticket sales, in terms of the Indiana Fever and their tickets going up. Indiana Fever had a draft party that 17,000 people showed up to watch the draft. She has already put the W on the map, and anyone that knows the game knows all she has to do is come into the league, be herself, get the ball to her teammates, whether they hit the shots or not, which they have a high percentage chance of hitting those shots because of the teammates around her. All she has to do is come into the league and be herself. She's done the hard part. The eyes are already here. This team won 13 games last season. What do you expect her to do? People are going to show up to watch. There's no more pressure.
Andraya, That is utterly ridiculous.
Stop it.
It's
You need
not.
to stop that.
It's
Listen,
not.
that is listen. We heard you. Listen to
They're
us.
going to show up to watch
No,
her
hold on,
either
hold on.
way,
I heard
Stephen
you.
A.
Hold on. You
ahead,
can't
Stephen
say that somebody who's such a phenomenal performer on the collegiate level, who has essentially uplifted a sport, as Dawn Staley pointed out, who is ultimately the #1 overall pick, doesn't at least have the pressure to perform. Stop it. That's what comes with sports, Andraya.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that this extracurricular pressure per se, that she's got to do something beyond performing at a high level. But make no mistake, with what Caitlin Clark has shown the basketball world that she could do, and I'll hand it off to you, Shannon.
Yes.
With what she has shown the basketball world she can do, it's not like she could come into the WNBA and all of a sudden play like hot garbage. No, that can't happen.
No.
She has to perform. That's all we're saying, Andraya. That's not a crime. That's not a crime to say that. Go ahead, Shannon.
Expectations. You said they could make the playoffs. Expectations. I said 500, considering they went 13-27. So I expect to see at least a 7-game increase, be 20-20. She's the #1 overall draft pick. Expectations comes along with that, regardless of what you've done in college. Because guess what? What you did in college, you don't get to bring that resume to the NBA because nobody cares. The journey has ended in college. You start a new journey all over again in the WNBA. There's astronomical because nobody has come into the WNBA with the hype. She's LeBron James. LeBron came into the NBA hype times 15.